Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Stub Club. My name is Adam, and I hope you guys are having an awesome day so far. Real quick before we get started, if you guys could, click the like button and subscribe to help my channel out, and leave a comment down below what movies you guys want me to review. It can be an old movie, it can be a movie that's currently in theaters, or it can be a movie that's coming out later this year. Now, with that being said, let's get into my spoiler-free review of Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny. Alright, so before I get into the grading, I want to touch upon some things about the film and give my overall thoughts on it. Firstly, I went into this movie essentially blind. I watched the first trailer once and decided that's all I wanted to know, and sat back and waited for the movie to come out. But as we all know, critics like to steal the fun out of movies, and reviews started coming in and things weren't looking too hot on the tomato scale. This got me worried a little bit, and I started to lose faith in the movie. But when I got my ticket, sat in my seat in the third row, and saw Indiana Jones back in action, all faith had been restored, as I witnessed, in my opinion, the third best Indiana Jones film in the entire pentalogy. If you want my tier list of Indiana Jones, leave a comment down below. Now, the last thing I'm going to say is during the film, there were scenes where they de-aged Harrison Ford, giving him the classic Jones Jr. look we're all familiar with. And I loved those scenes with all my heart, and were probably my favorite part of the entire movie. However, there were moments where you could tell it was deep faked, and the actor looked like he was a real digitally enhanced video game character. But it's hardly noticeable as the film progresses. On the same subject, the directors didn't de-age Harrison Ford's voice in those scenes, so when he was talking, it was really weird hearing an old man's voice coming out of a de-aged Indy's mouth. But hey, I still loved it. Alright, with all that out of the way, let's get started on the grading. In 1969, we find Dr. Jones as a worn-down professor, but things start livening up again when an old adversary frames him with murder and steals the Antikythera, a device that could change the course of history. With the help of his goddaughter Helena, Indy must race against time, going on one last adventure in order to obtain the dial and save history as they know it. The runtime for this movie is 2 hours and 22 minutes, and I'm really happy with that. I didn't want to go into a movie with low hopes and watch a short film as well, but it exceeded both expectations, and everything, for the most part, added up pretty well. I would pretty much divide the film into 3 parts: the intro, the middle, and the end. And I will admit, the intro and the end are the most memorable parts of the movie. The intro is about 20 minutes long, I would say, and I would count the end as the last 30 to 45 minutes of the film. Whereas the middle kind of takes up the rest of the movie, and to be honest, the rest of my time as well. I'm going to be completely frank here and say the middle of the movie is pretty forgettable. Not to say it wasn't good, I just don't see myself remembering what happened in the film a couple years down the line. That being said, I gotta rate plot 7.6. The action throughout the film is pretty consistent. There wasn't a lot of hand-to-hand combat from Indy, which I was a little disappointed with, but he is an old man and probably has arthritis, so it's understandable. I think the only fighting you really saw was in the intro. Also, he only used his whip 1 or 2 times in the entire movie, so that was a little bit of a letdown as well. But as for the rest of the movie, the best way I can describe the action is the 3 main characters were essentially playing monkey in the middle It mostly consisted of chase scenes where one person would have the dial and everyone else would go after them. And then somebody else would have it, and it basically became this back and forth thing that lasted throughout the entire movie. So, with that being said, I'm going to rate action 7.1. I wasn't a big fan of the drama in this movie. Everyone wanted the dial for their own reason. And other than Indy, Helena and the villain don't really give a good explanation as to why they want it or what their motives are until the end of the movie. I think Helena's reason was kind of self-explanatory, but she never really says anything specific. And as for Jürgen Voller, he does give his reason at the end, but it's really hard to understand because he had teeth missing. Teeth missing! Oh, what the hell is wrong with me, dude? Why would I say it like I have teeth missing, bro? Anyways, he had teeth missing while talking in a German accent. Now, there were other bits of drama in the film to talk about. I think the connection between Indy and Helena was alright. Helena was more adventurous and had that sense of adventure despite her reasons for it, while Indy himself was retired and wanted to live a peaceful life. So it was different to see them interact and banter back and forth during the movie. So for drama, I'm going to rate 6.9. I don't really have anything bad to say about the suspense. It wasn't too heavy, and I think the majority of it happens at the end of the film. Regardless, it was still pretty consistent throughout the movie, especially with all the chases and Jones being framed for murder. There was always some level of suspense that kept you on the edge of your seat. I also really enjoyed some of the puzzle solving and riddle deciphering. That's something I've always loved about Indiana Jones films. With that being said, I'm going to rate suspense a solid 8. There were some good bits of comedy in this movie, a good amount of it in the intro. For the middle part, I would say there was at least one section where there was a pretty humorous situation. The film is mostly adventure-based, so you could definitely tell the writers weren't trying to force a funny situation in. But other than that, there wasn't a whole lot to make you laugh really hard. But there were a few good chuckles here and there, so I'm going to rate comedy an 8.2. Casually, I rate this film a 9 out of 10. Critically, I rate it 7.5 out of 10, but still pretty good. The Dial of Destiny was a fantastic ending to the franchise. This was my second time watching Indiana Jones in theaters. I remember watching Kingdom of the Crystal Skull with my dad back in 2008 and having a fun time with it. And although he's not around today, he would have loved the Dial of Destiny. So grab your popcorn and get tickets, because this movie is definitely worth watching in theaters. Hell, I even want to go watch it again. And it unquestionably deserves my seal of approval. And that concludes my review. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you did. And let me know if I should do a spoiler discussion video where I explain my thoughts more in depth on the film. I would really love to do that. There's a lot of stuff in this movie that I feel like I really need to go in depth on, because everything adds up in the movie. There's a lot of foreshadowing and it's awesome. So I would love to discuss that with you guys. But until then, I'll see you all in the next video.